Grok hunts mammoth for 3 days. Grok brings back 200 pounds of meat. Chief says Grok keeps 160 pounds, tribe takes 40 pounds. Grok confused, but Grok tired, so Grok agrees. Next moon, Grok hunts deer, brings back 100 pounds. Chief takes 20 pounds, and Grok notices something. The more meat Grok brings, the more Chief takes, but also the less Chief takes as percentage. Grok tries to understand this. But then Grok sees Chief using that meat to feed the night guards who protect Grok's cave from saber-toothed tigers. And Grok sees Chief giving meat to old Thunk who can't hunt anymore. And suddenly Grok realizes the meat Chief takes isn't stolen, it's redistributed. But here's what makes Grok's head hurt. The system is designed so that successful hunters like Grok pay more, but they also benefit more from having guards and healers and scouts. The tribe figured out how to make selfishness and cooperation the same thing. So here's how the meat tax system actually works in the tribe. Every caveman who brings back meat from a hunt owes the tribe a portion. This isn't theft. This is the cost of living in a tribe that has walls, guards, a shaman who sets broken bones, and scouts who tell you where the buffalo are migrating. Without tribe infrastructure, Grok would be alone in the wilderness with a pointed stick and a prayer. The tribe collects meat in different ways depending on what you do. Hunt tax is the simplest. You bring back a dead animal, the chief's counter, a suspicious caveman named Crag, counts the pounds, and immediately takes the tribe's share before you even get to your cave. You never actually see all the meat you hunted. And this keeps everyone honest because Crag is standing right there with a stone tablet and he's already done the math. But there's also gathering tax. If you pick berries and trade them for meat at the market, you pay extra meat on top of the trade price. Property tax means if you own a good cave near the river, you pay meat every winter just for living there. Inheritance tax means if your father dies and leaves you his spear collection and his saved meat, you owe the tribe a cut before you get any of it. And luxury tax means if you buy a fancy bearskin cloak or a polished obsidian knife, you pay way more meat because the tribe knows you can afford it. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The tribe uses something called meat brackets, and almost every caveman gets this wrong. You'd think if Grok brings back 1,000 pounds of meat in a year, and Grok is in the 22% bracket, then Grok pays 220 pounds total, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. And this mistake cost cavemen serious confusion and rage every tax season. Here's the real system. The first 100 pounds of meat Grok brings back, zero tax. The tribe lets you keep it all because they're not monsters and everyone needs to eat. The next 400 pounds, tribe takes 12%. That's 48 pounds. The next 500 pounds, 22% bracket kicks in. That's 110 pounds. So Grok's total tax on 1,000 pounds isn't 220 pounds. It's 158 pounds. Grok only pays the higher rate on the meat in that higher bracket, not on everything Grok earned all year. But most cavemen don't know this. They hear 22% bracket and they panic. They think the tribe is taking almost a quarter of everything. And this creates resentment that's not even based on the real numbers. The tribe's communication on this is deliberately unclear. And I think that's on purpose, because angry cavemen are less likely to ask questions about where the meat actually goes. Now you're probably thinking, okay, the math is confusing, but at least the system is straightforward. Take meat, redistribute meat, everyone benefits. But that's where the first escalation starts. Because the tribe doesn't just take meat when you hunt, they also take meat when you sell your cave. Let's say Grok buys a cave for 5,000 pounds of meat. Grok lives there 10 winters. Cave is now near the new market, so it's worth 8,000 pounds. Grok sells it. And Grok thinks, great, I made 3,000 pounds profit. But the tribe steps in. They want 15% of that profit. That's 450 pounds of meat. This is called property gain tax, and it applies to everything that goes up in value. Your cave, your spear collection, your hunting dog's puppies. If you bought it for one price and sold it for more, the tribe wants a cut of the difference. And here's the thing. This tax is lower than hunt tax. If Grog had hunted for that 3,000 pounds of meat, he might have paid 22% or even higher depending on his bracket. But because Grog made it from selling property, he only pays 15%. So rich cavemen, The ones who own multiple caves and trade them are paying a lower rate than working hunters. The system is designed to reward wealth that makes more wealth and punish labor. But it gets worse, because there's also something called negative gearing. And this is where rich cavemen break the system entirely. Let's say Brog is wealthy. Brog owns 3 caves already. Brog buys a 4th cave for 10,000 pounds of meat. Brog rents that cave to a young hunting family for 80 pounds of meat per moon. But the cave costs Brog 100 pounds per moon in maintenance and guards and repairs. So Brog is losing 20 pounds of meat every moon. You'd think this is a bad investment. But here's the trick. Brog gets to deduct that 20-pound monthly loss from his total taxable meat. So if Brog brought in 5,000 pounds of meat this year from his other ventures, and he lost 240 pounds on the rental cave, Brog tells the tribe he only made 4,760 pounds. And that drops Brog into a lower meat bracket. Brog pays less tax overall. And Brog is betting that in 10 winters, that 4th cave will be worth 15,000 pounds, and he'll sell it and pay the low 15% property gain tax on the profit, not the higher hunt tax rate. So Brog, who's already rich, gets to lose money on purpose to lower his current taxes while also building wealth that will be taxed at a lower rate later. Meanwhile, Grok the hunter is paying 22% on every mammoth he drags back to camp. The system isn't neutral. It has a built-in preference. It rewards people who already have assets over people who only have labor. Now, the second escalation. You might be thinking, okay, the rich have loopholes, but at least everyone has to report honestly, right? Not even close. Because the tribe has this thing called the Meat Audit, and it works like this. Every year, Grok has to go to the chief's cave and report how much meat Grog earned. If Grog is a regular hunter working for the tribe's hunting company, this is easy. The company already reported Grog's total to the chief. Grog just confirms it. But if Grog is a freelance hunter, or if Grog trades pelts on the side, or if Grog won a bunch of meat in a gambling game, Grog has to self-report all of it. And here's the problem. The tribe can't watch every caveman every day. They rely on honesty. But they also randomly pick cavemen to audit. If you get audited, Crag shows up at your cave with his stone tablet and he goes through everything. Your trade records, your meat storage, your pelt inventory. And if Crag finds meat you didn't report, you're in serious trouble. The tribe charges you the original tax you owed plus interest, which means you now owe even more meat than if you'd just been honest. And if the amount is big enough, or if the tribe thinks you lied on purpose, they throw you out of the tribe entirely. You lose your cave, your protection, your access to the market, your exile, and in the wilderness alone, most cavemen don't last 2 winters. But here's the contradiction. The tribe audits poor cavemen way more than rich cavemen, because poor cavemen are easy targets. Grog's meat income is simple. Did Grog report the deer? Did Grog report the trade with Thunk? Easy to check. But rich Brog has meat coming in from 7 different caves, 3 hunting partnerships, a bearskin trading venture, and a stake in a flint mine. Auditing Brog takes Crag half a year. So the tribe audits 10 poor cavemen in the time it takes to audit 1 rich caveman. The system is designed to catch small cheaters, not big ones. And then there's deductions. This is the third escalation, because the tribe lets you reduce your taxable meat if you spent meat on work-related expenses. Sounds fair, right? If Grog bought a new spear to hunt better, Grog should get credit for that. If Grog traveled to the Northern Valley to scout for buffalo, Grog can deduct the travel meat. If Grog paid for a training session with the tribe's master hunter, that's deductible. But the rules are vague, and rich cavemen have drunmens. These are cavemen who do nothing but study the tribe's tax rules and find every possible deduction. Brog hires a drunman named Zek. Zek finds deductions Grog didn't even know existed. Brog's bearskin cloak, deductible, because Brog wears it to business meetings with other cave owners. Brog's fancy cave near the chief's compound, deductible, because Brog hosts tribe meetings there. Brog's 3rd hunting dog, deductible, because the dog guards Brog's property. Zek gets Brog's taxable meat down from 5,000 pounds to 3,000 pounds just by finding deductions. And the cost of hiring Zek, also deductible. Meanwhile, Grog doesn't even know Dremmins exist. Grog tries to deduct his spear sharpening costs, and Crag says, no, that's personal maintenance, not work expense. The rules are enforced differently depending on whether you can afford someone who knows how to exploit them. The fourth escalation is the truly insane part. And this is where the whole system reveals its actual design. Because the tribe isn't the only tribe. There are other tribes in other valleys. And some of those tribes have way lower meat taxes. There's a tribe across the eastern mountains that takes 0%. No meat tax at all. They fund their tribe through other means. Maybe they control a salt mine or a flint deposit. So what do rich cavemen do? They move their assets there. Brog doesn't physically move. Brog still lives in our tribe, uses our guards, uses our shaman, trades in our market. But Brog sets up a shell cave in the zero tax tribe. On paper, Brog's hunting ventures are based there. Brog's meat income is reported there. Brog pays 0 tax to them and also dodges most of the tax he owes to our tribe. And this is completely legal. The tribe council knows about it. They just can't stop it without starting a war with the other tribes. So the tribes race to the bottom. Each one lowers their tax rate to attract rich cavemen's business. And the result is that the burden shifts even more onto working hunters like Grog, because the tribe still needs meat to function, and if Brog isn't paying his share, someone else has to. Let me give you a real scenario with actual numbers so you can see how this plays out. Meet Torg. Torg is a mid-level hunter. Torg brings in 4,000 pounds of meat per year. Under the bracket system, Torg pays 0 on the first 100 pounds, 12% on the next 400 pounds, and 22% on the remaining 3,500 pounds. That's 0 plus 48 plus 770. Torg pays 818 pounds in hunt tax. That's 20.45% of Torg's total income. Torg keeps 3,182 pounds. Now meet Vorg. Vorg is a cave investor. Vorg doesn't hunt. Vorg owns 15 caves and rents them out. Vorg's total meat income from rent is also 4,000 pounds per year. But Vorg's Dremmin finds 3,000 pounds of deductions. Maintenance costs, property losses from negative gearing, business travel to inspect the caves. Vorg's taxable meat income drops to 1,000 pounds. Vorg pays 0 on the first 100 and 12% on the remaining 900. That's 108 pounds total. Vorg's effective tax rate is 2.7%. Same income, different source. Vorg pays 108 pounds while Torg pays 818. And this isn't a loophole. This is the system working as designed. The tribe wants to encourage cave ownership and investment because it grows the tribe's overall wealth. But the cost is borne by hunters like Torg who can't restructure their income to take advantage of the rules. Quick cutaway. Imagine Torg and Vorg sitting by the fire. Torg says, I killed a mammoth today. Took me 9 hours. Almost died twice. Chief took 200 pounds. Vorg says, I hired someone to clean one of my caves, deducted the costs, saved 50 pounds on my taxes. Torg stares at Vorg. Torg drinks fermented berry juice. Torg drinks more fermented berry juice. Another cutaway. Crag, the tax counter, is explaining deductions to Grog. Grog says, so if I buy a spear for hunting, can I deduct it? Crag says, did you use it exclusively for work? Grog says, I also used it to scare away a wolf that was near my cave. Crag writes on his tablet. Crag says, denied. Personal use. Grog says, Brog deducted his hunting dog and that dog just sleeps all day. Crag says, Brog has a Dremmin. Grog says, what's a Dremmin? Crag says, exactly. So what actually happens if you don't pay? Because that's the question everyone asks. And the tribe has a very clear escalation protocol. First moon, you miss a payment, you get a warning. Just a messenger showing up at your cave saying you owe meat and you need to settle it. Second moon, they add interest. Now you don't just owe the original meat, you owe extra on top. Third moon, they start taking your stuff. The tribe will literally seize your stored meat, your pelts, your tools, and auction them off to cover what you owe. And if you still refuse, if you actively hide from the tribe or lie about your income, they exile you. And exile isn't symbolic. You lose access to the walls, the guards, the shaman, the market, the water well. You're out in the wilderness with nothing. And most exiled cavemen either join a different tribe, which won't take you if they know you're a tax dodger, or you die within a year from predators or weather or starvation. The tribe doesn't have to kill you. They just withdraw protection and nature does the rest. And the thing is, the tribe will do this to a poor caveman who owes 50 pounds of meat, but they'll negotiate for years with a rich caveman who owes 5,000. Because exiling the poor caveman costs the tribe nothing, but exiling Brog means losing all his future taxes, losing his business activity in the market, losing his political connections. So the tribe works with Brog. They set up a payment plan, they reduce the interest. Meanwhile, Grog gets exiled for being 2 moons late. Now you're asking yourself, is there any way to make this less painful? And yeah, there are 3 actual tactics that work. First, if you're a hunter, track every single work expense. Keep a stone tablet or a clay record. Spear repairs, travel to new hunting grounds, payment for a tracker's advice. Most hunters don't track this stuff, and they miss out on deductions they actually qualify for. This isn't about cheating. This is about knowing the rules well enough to use them. Second, if your meat income is high enough to make it worth the cost, hire a Dremmin. I know this sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but if you're bringing in more than 3,000 pounds of meat per year, a Dremmin will save you more in taxes than they cost in fees. And their fee is deductible, so you're essentially using pre-tax meat to pay them. The tribe designed the system to be complex specifically so Dremmins would be necessary. Don't fight it, use it. Third, and this is the most important one, if you have any control over how you earn meat, shift as much as possible into property and assets instead of direct labor. I'm not saying quit hunting. I'm saying if you can save up and buy a cave to rent out, or invest in a hunting partnership, or own a piece of a flint mine, that income will be taxed lower than meat you earn by hand. The system rewards ownership over labor, so own things. And here's the cynical kicker. The tribe will never simplify this system because complexity is a feature, not a bug. Complexity ensures that rich cavemen can hire Dremmins to navigate it while poor cavemen drown in it. Complexity makes the rules feel arbitrary, which reduces resistance because people don't know what they're even resisting. And complexity creates an entire industry of Dremmins and counters and advisors who all benefit from the system staying exactly as confusing as it is. The tribe doesn't take your meat because they're evil. They take it because walls cost meat, guards cost meat, shamans cost meat, and someone has to pay for it. But the way they take it, the rates they use, the deductions they allow, and the enforcement they choose, all of that is deliberate. The system is built to extract maximum meat from labor and minimum meat from wealth. And if you're a hunter, you're paying for a tribe that's designed to protect people who don't hunt anymore. Nature always collects, and so does the chief. This is a simplified cave story to explain a modern system.